$1.
Hi everybody, it's Hakeem, also known as Hop. I'm with the great, my uncle Malenga, the legend, the veteran. He taught us so much that his story has to be told. He's so much in the community. He's a wise man. He taught us leadership. He taught us direction. He taught us to control our anger. He showed us how to manage our emotions. And he taught us how to be ourselves. And he also taught us Swahili and taught us knowledge of self. This is the great Malenga, my uncle.
How you doing, beautiful people? I am just nothing but a reflection of your own illustrious self. And thank you so much, Hakeem, for the compliments.
No problem, Malenga. I wanted to tell the people, we wanted to get some more information from you. What got you involved in some martial arts, Malenga?
Well, ever since, Bruce Lee came on the scene, but before him there was Master Cheatham and other African American martial artists. And I was very, very interested in the techniques of martial arts. Though, everybody was boxing, I wanted to explore the tenets of the martial arts. Plus, the discipline is so there's not only discipline there was in boxing was you had to be self-disciplined to train and do what you had to do. But in martial arts, it wasn't about fighting. It was about honor and only fighting when necessary, when there was no other way of getting out of the situation. That really appealed to me. So I started when I was 13 years old. Master Cheatham was my neighbor. And there was also my cousin, Johnny, who had spent time in the Marine Corps. And we was trained in the backyard at those times. There wasn't too many people with martial arts schools. Later on, Master Cheatham did open up a martial arts school, but basically I was doing most of my training in the backyard.
And what styles of techniques did you practice?
Well, basically everybody was doing karate, which is Japanese style martial arts, using strikes and blows. So that was the thing. That was the main thing that everybody was more or less practicing. Later on, as I said before, when Bruce Lee went against the teachings of the Chinese people and taught us Kung Fu and the tenets of Kung Fu, which he was later, it's another story, but it's the reason why I think they kind of killed him, because Chinese people weren't allowed to teach any person that wasn't Chinese them forms of martial arts. So basically all of us were learning Japanese style martial arts because most of the brothers was going over to Japan after Korean and World War II, and they were studying, they was exposed to karate.
Uncle Malenga introduced me to martial arts when I was in the 6th grade. And at that time, you remember that time, Malenga, when I was...
He was, just to let you know, his reputation was he fought all the guys in the 8th grade in the whole school. And he was supposed to have been put into a special needs program, but he didn't have no problem with special needs. It was just that he had spirit. He was just a spirited young man that just needed to know why he was so spirited. So that's how he got involved with me and a whole lot of other guys. I more or less was used to guide the young men that were spirited, that supposedly had a problem with discipline and temperament problems while I was in schools. But while I was there, I knew I had lost my son in 1970. He was murdered by a 28-year-old man. At the time, he was 16 years old. But because I had taught him karate, he thought that he could deal with somebody that was using a weapon on him. And the guy ended up stabbing him and he lost his life. at that time, I decided that I needed to give a program to African American males that was one that would give them more or less a different outlook on how to react and how to act toward those types of situations. Think before you move, and it's not all that bad. It's not. Things aren't really necessary to try to appease your friends who sit on the sideline and instigate situations. And be your own man, more or less. And I also knew there was a need to teach them their own culture. Though I was a karate instructor, I knew that I wasn't Japanese, so I didn't like having to speak Japanese or teach our kids Japanese with ha, aso, hike, kia. Those were terms that were, more or less Japanese terms, which got me in a lot of trouble with a whole lot of different martial artists because they were telling me that they was teaching traditional martial arts. And my question was, whose tradition? We have a very, very long and strong tradition as far as how to rear our young men, which was later exposed by movies like Roots and Shaka Zulu and other movies that later came on the scene. So I taught myself Swahili. I also went to classes to learn Swahili, and I changed the whole the terms of striking, posture, talking, and also used some tenements of a style called Kempo, which is not very popular. This style was more or less telling kids that fighting is uncivilized, so you should be forgiven for fighting. You have no weapons. I did not teach weapons. I didn't teach weapons because I didn't believe in weapons.
The weapons in my hand, Malenga.
I had no weapons in my hand. And the last part was, a fist is a treasure that should be kept in your pocket. So when I started teaching Hakeem and the rest of the young men, those three things, I think it opened up a light in their head, and they gravitated toward it. So we were exposed. My style was exposed to a lot of different people down in Trenton. I was the only person in the Newark public school system to teach martial arts to children, and I think it was definitely because of the other things that I was taught, not necessarily the martial arts. It was the culture, the beauty, the love for yourself and for your mothers. There was also things that they had to learn, like what is your mother? Your mother's a queen. What is your father? Your father's a king. And what are you? You're a prince and a man-child. And what is your duty to your parents? Your duty to your parents is make them proud and happy. And these things, the children just love it. Also, their parents love it.
Why Swahili? Why was you interested? What made you interested in Swahili? Why did you choose to research that language?
Well, people don't know, but they should know, that the oldest person, the body that was found in the world, the oldest person was, they called her Lucy, and she was found in the Odovi Valley in Kenya. I told people that Kenya is the Garden of Eden because the Garden of Eden had all the animals, all the natural vegetation and things of that sort. So Kenya, Congo, South Africa, that region was where we as people originated, and we migrated to Europe and all those other places. And due to the climate and things of that sort, which is another thing altogether different, but it's scientifically true, that everybody is African. Everybody on God's green earth is African. The white people, the so-called Spanish people, they are all African. They all have an African origin. And due to climate and weather changes, change their features and things of that sort. So, if you didn't live in a climate that was warm and hot, you weren't able to hold on to the melanin. So if you lived in a region like in the mountains and stuff like that, where most Europeans are from, the Caucasus Mountains and stuff like that, you didn't get a lot of sun. And as you very, very, very well know, all of you, that when the wintertime comes and you don't get a lot of sun, you lighten up. And through the generations, they lighten up. Also, there was a problem with the melanin and diseases. There was diseases that caused you to lighten up, or for the body to lighten up. And these people, some so-called albinos, were kicked out of Africa. They were considered as bad juju, they were cursed. So they were kicked out of Africa. So they had to more or less, miscegenate and blend together with light cells. That also is why Europeans lack what they call melanin. So these things I had to be taught, and I felt it was my duty to teach it before I left the earth, regardless of what anybody thought. And Hakeem can tell you for a fact, no one argued with what I was teaching. Europeans even agreed with what I was teaching. So, I knew that I was on a righteous course.
So how did you get into like the school system, like the board of education? Like, when did you start your own program? Like,
well, we had a daycare center on Elizabeth Avenue. I worked there with the originator, Mr. Kennedy Wilson. And the name of the center was Watoto Wazuri, which means beautiful children. We had revolutionized daycare by opening up tents in Whitbreak Park. We had tents in the Elizabeth Avenue side of Whitbreak Park. And there we were tending the children, in the morning, afternoon, and evening, and helping their parents. Most of our children come from homes where 85% are run by mothers, and the women, the queens, needed a safe place to keep their children, which freed them up to go to work and things of that sort. So Watoto Wazuri was that place, and while I was there, I was teaching Swahili to the kids. And I was also teaching my style of martial arts, which I created, called Hatari Pakachui Weusi Chui. Beware the black cat martial arts. Kicks and punches.
Like by creating, like being that innovative, especially at a time like that, like who inspires you, like to be able to have like a mentality like that, to create your own like martial arts from like yourself, like what inspires you to do that?
It's crazy that you asked that question. I was buying all my martial arts uniforms from a gentleman named Master Han down on Halsey Street in Newark. And he told me that it's only right that someone should create something for African American people. He said that's what Master Lee did and others. All styles of martial art was created by some man. That's the originator, the founder of all these different styles. And I figured I would be the founder of my own style. I would walk the children to school every day. Like in the morning, we would meet in the back of 555 Elizabeth Avenue. And I would sometimes walk 20 to 30 children up to Peshawn Avenue School. And the principal, the great Ivan Holmes, peace and blessings of God be upon him, he's no longer with us, saw how well mannered the children were and how they bonded together and looked after each other. And he asked me to work there at Peshawn Avenue School as an aide. And when I got there, he found out that by coming to Watoto Wazuri in the park, and he saw me teaching the martial arts and the Swahili to the children. And he asked me would I do the same at Pressure Avenue School. So that's how I ended up in the public school system. It was, I had different people coming up to me, different principals and different administrators trying to get me out of Pressure to go to other schools and stuff like that. But because Mr. Holmes gave me a chance to start that program, that's why I was basically at Pressure Avenue School until he was made the assistant administrator of the Newark public school system. That's when I left and went to other schools with the program. Go Avenue School, Hawthorne Avenue School, Dayton Street School, and they even one that had me in North Newark.
Yeah, Malenga taught us Swahili, and I'm gonna even study more. I'm gonna even go either further than what I know now, because every time I see you, we say Jumbo, which is one word. It's hey, how you doing? So Malenga, that's what it comes from Malenga, the original language. So now my next question to you, Malenga, is what's some advice that you gotta give to the youth and your former students? Like what's something that you want to give to everyone?
Fell into the trap, y'all. They trying to get you kids to get the kids, not you, because you're a grown man now. But they're trying to have the children commit genocide on each other. They took away the culture. Well, if you lived in Newark and you was a male, the elder males would teach you how to box. Regardless of who they were, you had an uncle, a cousin, or someone that taught you how to use your hands and be able to defend yourself. But that's lost. Those people, some of them have passed on to the ancestors. Others just have given up. And it's a gun culture out here now. Most of these young men can't stand taking a loss. They lose a fight to somebody. And the peer pressure with the young men that maybe are cowards and stuff like that, edging them on to do something really, really cryptic, really, really terrible to whoever their opponent is. So along with that, and then the rap culture, putting people on the pedestal that go to jail. If you go to jail, you come out of jail, you get more popularity than a brother that did 8 years of elementary school and 4 years of high school and later on went on to college. Those guys are looked upon as being nerds or not being worth too much, while the one that did 5 or 6 years in prison and come out with the prison culture and the prison idea of trying to make money on the streets, robbing his people, being a despicable individual, they publicize. And like everything else, because of who we are and the creative people we are, with the rap culture being so profound and strong, and everybody trying to emulate it, even the European, the white kids are emulating that culture. The Spanish kids are emulating that culture, because we've been innovators throughout history. So it more or less got these children killing themselves. They forgot the love for their parents. I mean, no parent want to see their child in a coffin. And no child should want to take their mother, especially their mother and fathers, through that kind of hurt, that kind of hurt, that feeling, As I told you before, I lost my oldest son because he was caught up in that culture and he thought he was invincible. And the coward that stabbed him, you know, he didn't realize that, you know, that he could die. And that's how he lost his life. But now, that's because of what's happening out there. You know, most of these young men don't want to fight, really, but they got their friends saying to them, "Man, you know, he dissed you, your son, you know, just changing the whole culture, how you talk to each other and things of that sort." And it allowed them to think, well, instead of using the top part of their body, it allowed them to think with the bottom part of their body, the lower half. You know, that's where your heart beats fast and things of that sort. And you know, you get butterflies in your stomach. And, it's more important to you how you look to other people and how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your parents. So we are. If nothing changes, I don't know what to say. You know, I mean, I don't know any way of coming out of it. You know, unless you know, it's $1 million. It's $1 million business. You can't tell somebody not to get $1 million when you can say a couple of things about, you know, calling yourself a nigger and how you'll kill somebody and how you got a gang that'll kill somebody, and the European is steady giving you money. You know, you better than the Ku Klux Klan to them. You know, you doing their job for them. So we're in a quagmire. And another thing to let you know that how things changed was when rap was first started off. It was started off by people that were very, very, very light. KRS-One, Rakim, Most Def. He was singing about how his mother wanted him to shine a light on the world. And KRS-One was trying to tell kids that, you know, to be the best of the best of God's creation and things of that sort. But what happened was the rap scene, they switched the area, and it was picked up by people down south in Atlanta, Louisiana, and stuff like that, where the children were exposed to that kind of culture. What they were exposed to is more or less it's a gun culture down there. And that's, if you notice, even the way a lot of them talk, they talk with a southern accent when they're rapping. They got that kind of southern slang to it, a southern tang to the terms. While we were enunciating words, and they were wordsmiths back in the day. All that's changed now. You got terms that are jailhouse terms, things of that sort. Teach them to walk around with their pants down, which I like to tell you that culture came from the guys that were in the jail that were homosexual, walked around with their pants sagging like that. And when they came out of jail, they were more or less, they didn't change it. When you get incarcerated, first thing they do is take your belt away from you, and they take your shoestrings out of your shoes. So you're around here, pants sagging, and the way you walk, slide your feet so your shoes don't come off. And now these young men they walk like that, though they have a belt and they have shoestrings, and they just picked up the culture. That's the look. That's the way you present yourself. And I like to also say that a lot of it has to do with the young women. Young women a woman makes a man to please women. Is how, when we came up back in the day, we would dress and different shoes and wearing suits and the coats and the hats and stuff like that. It wasn't so much to please us, though we liked the style, but it was to please women. And the young women nowadays got a low sense of pride. They don't want to, they think these guys are what's happening. Like I said, I don't know any way, that's going to change, because even the way they talk to themselves, the things that they call themselves, do not give justice to their mothers, their grandmothers, and the people that came before them.
What's some solutions that we can do as a culture to make some changes?
You the solution. You and guys your age and your ilk, that think like you. You gotta change it. You gotta change it. Though I know, it's not easy, because you start talking about being righteous and being strong, they'll take you out. Because they're using the young men to steal cars and to rob people and sell drugs. So anybody that's not going that way is, it's more dangerous for you now than ever, but it takes young men like yourself doing what you're doing, setting an example. You're gonna have to go into the school systems and talk to the young brothers. It won't be easy, but if enough people catch on and really start interacting, maybe we can save a few. Might not be able to save them all, but maybe we can save a few. Maybe there might not be so many mothers at cotton funeral homes crying. Then you gotta have women that have positive programs for these young women to explain to them, to bring up their expectations of what they consider as a man, as a mate, as somebody to birth kids with. It's not. It's a daunting task. It's not anything that I wish on anybody. In these years of my life where I'm a grandparent, and I've lost my vision, and I've seen my time, but it's necessary that I couldn't have a young man calling me son. I would go to his house and meet his parents to find out is there something wrong with his vision and stuff like that. That's how I did it when I was in the school system, and we don't do that anymore. We don't take the time. It's not even cool to go to people's houses. They got laws now that you're not allowed as an educator to go to somebody's house and talk to their parents. They have to come to the school. But those times have changed. Times are changing. Times have changed. Mm-hmm. And pretty soon, the only way your child will get a decent education is to put them in a charter school. Public schools is going to be used for kids that, they call special ed. It's got those kind of problems, learning problems and temperament and things of that sort. So it's in your court. It's in your court.
Once again, this is the great Malenga, revolutionist, educator, leader, a man, a king, a father, a warrior. So much. Thanks, Malenga, for your time, your patience, and your energy. And I appreciate you for the seed that you planted in me so much, because I want to be half of the person I am today if it wasn't for you. So I'm thankful for you, Malenga.
Bobo, come on, man. Asante, Asante.
Secure to Malenga.
$1.